Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Race Chat this week. Rivalz Race Chat with Clinton Jeffrey and Adam Ross. And Adam is looking at me. Got the new mic set up. I'm going to give it a shot tonight, Adam. And yours on the works. As our new cameras, new backdrop, holding the budget this last week to get us up to where we need to be.
Well, you got all that going over there? No, you don't have the backdrop. But the microphone looks good.
No, not yet.
Now you can talk like Johnny. What was Johnny Fever? WKRP in Cincinnati when he'd spin around and pull the mic to him because it was on one of those apparatus. Don't act like you never watched.
I don't know if I saw that one. But we have a crazy show
it's
coming.
Johnny, you son of a gun.
Johnny what?
You left me cold on Johnny Fever from WKRP in Cincinnati.
My favorite WKRP in Cincinnati was one when they were going at it and the cop came in to check them for drunk driving, and the more Venus Flytrap drank, the drunker he got, and the more Johnny Fever drank, the sober he got, and the cop didn't know what the hell was going on. But crazy time, Adam, as we know, up down right now, as are a lot of the other sporting events, as we try and figure out where do we land in this crazy coronavirus world. And you and I were talking a bit on the phone today, and the other thing we had said is, you said in jest to about a week before all this really blew up, can racing survive the coronavirus? And man, how prophetic those words were now this far back down the line.
Yeah, I didn't really want to be prophetic when I said that. Usually pathetic is where I land, but so be it. Things are going to change, but we're going to get through this and we're going to go racing one way or another, right? That's what we know. And I say it's better to go through this together and spend some time with each other, even if it's sitting on your phone somewhere and watching, or sitting on a laptop, or if you got us plugged into your TV. It's good to be together. We love the comments. You know what the big topics are going to be tonight, folks, so feel free to make comments now, and we'll try to address them as we can. We're going to get to that a little bit later on, but there is quite a bit to talk about, Clinton, and I got to tell you, I have never had as many phone conferences and video conferences as we've had in the last few days about some fun things that are coming up.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, obviously we'll talk about Larson in this show, but we didn't want this show to be monopolized by that, so we'll talk about our regular stuff, and then I'm sure we're going to have a good old knock them down, chat them up about everything going on with that soon. First off, we want to thank everybody who partook in last Friday's Schweeken event. The live event is something we're going to try and do a little bit more and try and bring a bit of flavor, honor some of our sponsorship deals, and try and get them a bit of extra play, I guess you can say. I thought things went really well, Adam. We're going to tweak the format a little bit. We're going to keep going, but we will be live again Friday. The quick synopsis is, for people who've been asking me, is we took anyone who'd ever driven on the racetrack in real competition, they went into the Big O Stars bin. Everybody else who wanted to who's associated with us and everything we've got going on, they went into the Big O Associates. And I thought we had two great groups of racers, almost 40 guys, or drivers, I should say, in both classes. And it was a cool start. Your thoughts on Friday?
I thought it was excellent. It had really good energy. That's what we're trying to capture. There were things that we can do better moving forward, but by and large, I thought it was a good show. I thought the racing was high quality, and compared to other products that I've watched, in terms of the quality of the racing, I think we're pretty close. And we've got a lot of new people too. So, I mean, all things considered, I think it was fun. We're going to do it more. So we already had a comment. Spencer, I need you to grab this comment from J.R. Taylor, which is a great one. And Keith Temple makes a good one as well. So hopefully, Spencer, you can sort of monitor the Facebook chatter as it goes, because we'll have lots of good topics on it as the evening progresses.
So our live event went off fairly well, Adam. I could say it was a bit long, but we're going to improve on that. Like we said, we're going to make some adjustments, and this should really be going. Now, this is J.R. Taylor's comment that you asked for, Adam. Is that a little bit premature? Should that not be coming up in the Larson point, or is that directed to the drivers as well?
It's premature, yeah. I just want Spencer to grab it if he can, and we'll get to that later on. But it's a relevant comment, and it's something that we teach our kids, Clinton, and there's a reason we have to teach our kids that. So we'll get to that later on in the program.
A couple of other things that are going on. So our Rivalz Elite Pro Division finished the sprint car season last Tuesday night. That crowned Alex Bergeron as our champion, as well as the World of Outlaws champion from last year. Let's talk quickly what it means to have Alex Bergeron win the Rivalz Elite Pro Division and how that gives us best sprint car driver race with our league.
Yeah, once he committed to racing with us, Clinton, a lot of people thought they'd be racing for second place, and it turned out they were right, but he didn't. I'd have to look at the stats to see what the biggest margin of victory was, but he did not dominate the season. He won most nights when he was in the race, but he was hounded by different drivers. His teammate Jason Nygaard, Ernie Williams Jr., Cody Hartlob, Kevin Loveys came up and had some good runs. We had a lot of people really challenge the best there is in the world of iRacing. So I'd say that's pretty darn cool.
Yeah, super cool. But that leaves us with a void now. We don't have any racing going on tonight, but we do have a new plan. I'll turn it over to you to roll out our new plan and how it's going to tie into Fridays as well. So you let everybody know what we've got going on.
We are going to switch our Tuesday night program. We are going to replace Rivalz Elite with the Tuesday Tune-Up. And it is going to be basically our cast of characters from Friday night, from our Schweeken show, and it'll be a combination of stars and associates racing together. We want to fill that server and just put on some great dirt racing Tuesday night, and it'll be a practice race for what we have coming up that Friday evening. We were hoping to have a logo finalized for tonight because we do have a partner for it. Should we announce the partner before we unveil the logo, Clinton? What do you think about that?
Yeah, let them know who's going to be.
I got messages going off here, so I've got.
Yeah, I got some choppy audio. I just reset my network, so we should be good to go.
Sounds good. Right Choice Auto Sales is going to be the sponsor for the Tuesday night tune-up. They've just got into iRacing. Todd Seaburn is the owner of the company, and they've just got into the iRacing thing, and he's caught the iRacing bug pretty hard. He just wanted to be involved, Clinton. He wanted to do something that would be supportive of this type of racing. And one thing we're going to do this Friday, well, let me not jump to that subject. We got to thank Todd for his involvement, and it is going to be a lot of fun. So you'll get to see on our Tuesday night program more drivers that you're probably familiar with from what you see on a Friday night at our Schweeken. Which leads me to my next point. I got messages from multiple people saying Friday night was a great night. We sat with the family and watched as my dad raced, my son raced. Todd Seaburn said the same thing. So what we're going to want this week is for people watching to submit pictures of where they're watching from, how they're taking in their Friday night excitement. And we want to share that with everybody and feel like we're a little closer to being together. But Tuesday night, starting next week, is going to be the Right Choice Auto Sales Tuesday Tune-Up.
Yeah, excited about that. Definitely to have Todd and his group join us. And he brought a great talk yesterday. He was talking about how, he was not involved in iRacing at all. The family sat around, as you mentioned, and watched it. But he also had friends who reached out to him after he shared what he was up to. So these guys aren't even racing fans who are getting interested. So iRacing is doing its job. In that regard, we'll talk hurting other people, namely Kyle Larson, here shortly.
Clint, people are bored. People need something to do. So if you called your friends and said, "Hey, I'm racing something online, you can watch," like, oh my goodness, thank goodness I don't have to watch Judge Judy, or in our house, 48 hours is on constantly. First 48. Like, it's a marathon of, clearly they have enough episodes to last my entire lifetime.
Well, when we look at where we go from here is one of our next topics, right? Which, how do we refire the engines, Adam, in this situation? I had a good talk with Alex Nagy today from Jukasa. Just where do we go from here? So let's talk about the situation a little bit as it stands right now. We're all on shutdown. We're kind of on hold. A lot of the tracks are still doing their prep. We have to be ready to go. And I also saw Andrew Racer from New York State posed a good question on Facebook this week, and that question was, how much time will the tracks give us when they go ahead? So let's say it's mid-May, a place like Merrittville where Flamborough should already be in mid-swing. They get lifted and they're ready to go. In a best-case scenario, how much time should the tracks give the teams to go? And I mean, it brings up so many other scenarios that we could go on forever about, and I'd love to discuss them. Thoughts on points championships. What do you do if you only get 1 or 2 months of the season in? Do you still hold a full points championship? Do we still pay out the full purse? Do you do points at all? Do you just do open races? I mean, there's so many ways us promoters are going to have creative once we finally get the green flag from the government that it can go ahead. Your thoughts on those things that are flying around that I'm trying to hit, and it's a tough time for me. As you know, I've been depressed as heck trying to figure out where we go from here.
Yeah. Well, I think on the bright side, not a lot of people care about championships outside of those who are racing. The bigger the series, the more they care about championships. When it comes to what I see at weekly racing anymore, everyone wants to win the big race. It's all about that instant gratification. The Canadian Short Track Nationals, the Canadian Sprint Car Nationals, the Summer Nationals. It's all about huge racers coming together and winning those special events. So, in my opinion, it doesn't matter if we race for a championship or not. What matters is that we all get together and see race cars this year in some sort of a big event, if that makes any sense. Points won't matter, but people will be excited enough just to get out and take in a race that will be fine.
There's other topics like, do we go later into the fall? I mean, sure, that's an option, but you start stepping on heritage events. It's something where we could be an issue. And J.R. Taylor brings up, will there be scheduled conflicts with a truncated schedule? I think there definitely will be some scheduled conflicts. I mean, we have a bunch of partners we work together with tightly that, our local tracks, and by that I would mean Merrittville, Humberstone, Brighton, Jocasta, to try to step on each other, even Ransomville for that matter, to make sure we're not hurting each other in these times more than we would during normal times. I mean, it's more important than ever that we help each other get around that. And, it's tough to be excited right now. And part of my discussion with Alex Nagy today was, in Quebec, they've canceled everything till the end of August, which is doom and gloom. If you look at major sports, I read a report today that said maybe we have creative ways we could run races, but you still need 100 people to run a good show. I mean, even with one division, never mind 4. Then you start to think about, at least the Quebec folks, they know where they stand. They know they can't do anything. We're kind of all in limbo right now, wondering, is it going to happen or isn't going to happen? Your thoughts on them having at least a deadline they can work off of, and where we stand with not knowing anything?
My thoughts are whatever is happening in Quebec in terms of public gatherings is going to be the same in Ontario. I think ultimately the whole country is doing the same thing right now. Even though things have been announced at different points and measures have been announced at different points, we're all in the same boat. So I would be shocked if we don't get the same mandate as they did in Quebec. They just have the luxury of knowing it a little bit sooner than we do.
Yeah, I think locally the big concern for me is, you start to see things be canceled. They canceled the powwow for the end of July already in 6 Nations. I mean, this is by no means an official statement of the track. And in fact, we're going to play a video of Glenn we got from him last week that we played on our Friday broadcast. You might have seen it. Glenn and the crew at Oshweekend, we're still full steam ahead, like it's going to be lifted, and we'll be ready to go on May 15th. Although we don't actually expect that. We'll be ready should that happen. Jordan tells me it's about a week to 2 to get everything going for the Speedway surface, but that won't be the issue. I think timing of it's all going to be. And run that Glenn Stires video right now just to show everybody that there's a bit of positivity out there from some of the owners and the promoters who are trying to get this one done. Spencer, if you've got that, feel free to run that video.
Hello everybody, Glenn Stires here from Oshweekend Speedway. Just want to let you know that we got new bales around the track, pretty much all the way around. We even have some spares. we are going about business as normal, prepping the track, new water truck, new grader, and a new addition. Steyer's Lumber now belongs to Sheboygan Speedway. Tore down all the buildings that were there and the one by the gas bar. So yeah, we're moving ahead, and again, stay home, stay safe, have a good night.
So that's a good positive message, Adam.
It's wise words, right? You know, people, I get irritated personally about some of the conspiracy theorists and people saying this is blown out of proportion and we should just move on with life. I mean, we've lost someone in our family to the coronavirus, so I don't care about reading what people have to say. We all have to listen to what our government says, to what the prime minister says, to what the premier says, do the things we have to do. So it's not a track decision. It's Clinton. It's not your decision. It's not Glenn's decision. We have to wait till this blows over, and that's how we're going to have lots of people left to come out and enjoy motorsports, is by doing the things we need to do and following the rules.
Yeah. Once again, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to throw them out. We have not started talking about the Kyle Larson deal yet, which is coming up here shortly. Kenny Wallace has been good for some fodder for us on this show, Adam. He's thrown out a few videos in the past month or so that we put up. I caught a video, and it seems like he always has a zinger coming out the Wednesday, the day after, right after the show airs. You know, there is one swear word in it, so if there's any block their ears at the end, because we're not going to bleep this one anyways. So feel free to run that video. It's talking with his wife. What's going to happen?
Trump had a meeting with everybody on baseball, football, NASCAR, all of them. I think they're going to start playing sports way earlier than everybody thinks. They're going to start phasing it in, is what I think. I think like Busch Stadium for the Cardinals, I think it's going to open up. But I think they're going to say, okay, like, you know, it's sold out like at 35,000, 40,000. I think they'll say, okay, 10,000 people. Everybody got a seat.
How can they decide that, though? Which 10,000? It ain't gonna happen.
Well, you just sell it. You don't think it'll happen? No? What do you think will happen?
I would not go. I would sit here and watch it.
You would not go? You won't practice social distancing? You won't wash your hands, wear a mask, and go sit 6 feet from somebody?
No, I'm in my house and I can see it too.
Well, that's because you got diabetes. I'm going.
No, okay.
Tim. What are you going to do? Sit in your house all summer long? Well, we'll see. I don't know. I mean, I'm not desperate. I'll sit right here with you.
I got a pool area.
They can't shut the whole world down for a fucking year. We'll see.
It's funny. I love Kenny Wallace.
I'm with them though. You can't. We're gonna. I mean, this isn't about politics. This show, obviously, because you're not getting a lot of battles about that too. But got to get the one way or another, or we're all gonna be. And racing's gonna hurt for a big time. You know, we can't shut everything down for a year. That's just my
right.
message.
But don't isolate it at racing and say woe is us. Woe is a lot of. You know, it's not one industry that's suffering. It's entertainment, sports, the tourism industry.
Across the world, if we don't get this economy going, there's going to be a lot of problems. And you, for guys' mental health, going to be a lot more anxiety, stress, suicides if we don't do something way more than the virus will take out. But anyways, moving on from that.
What we can do to help better things, Clinton, is focus on events that do bring people together, even if it's in a virtual way. And the other things we can do is keep an eye on people in our industry. We focused last week on Greg Bellier, and we're going to get back to him this week. But we just got notice today from one of our newer partners from Brian's Auction in Puss Lynch and in Trenton that they are reopening for business. They have redesigned what it is they do for now to try to help their situation. Do you mind if I just read the note that I got from Ken Lillicrop? And we're going to have Joel Lillicrop on the show in the coming weeks whenever he's available, but it was pretty short notice today. Clint, do you mind if I read this?
No, please do.
So Brian's Auction, they've initiated an alternative sales tool for now. Obviously, they've struggled like everyone else has because they ran live auctions. And a typical auction would see 1,000 to 2,000 people view items over a 3-day period. Once the auction concluded, they'd have 1,200 to 1,400 customer invoices created, and all of those people had to physically come in and load their product and leave. So there was a lot of interaction. There was, you can't really social distance that. So they couldn't see a safe or regulated approach in which to handle that many transactions. So what they've done, they've created Brian's Buy It Now sale that's going on. They have 300 to 500 items posted with a predetermined Buy It Now price. It began on Thursday of last week. Ken says he's happy they had some success with it. It is only available to view or purchase during business hours, Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and only out of their Puss Lynch location right now. They want to get back to the online auction format once they have a crowd of once they're allowed to have a crowd of more than 5 people. But in the meantime, that's what they're trying to do. And what we can do, Clinton, is help urge people to support that. Spread the word, just like I've always done on a Friday night for our partners. So everything is changing a little bit, but you just have to adjust and go with the times. They appreciate anything that we can do for them. And of course, we appreciate their support. BriansFarm.com is the website to go and visit them. But I was really happy to hear from Ken Lillicrop today, because he was a little bit frustrated when I spoke with him a couple of weeks ago, like all of us are, saying, they don't know what they can do. Well, they did figure out something they could do, and good for them. Happy for them. And go check out briansfarm.com. See if there's anything you can use. They support racing, so we should be supporting them.
I guess the big message is, it's not forever, and we all need to adapt. So great to see Brian's go. That brings us to our next segment, Adam, about sponsor support. For years we have asked sponsors to help us out to get to the success. It's more important than ever for us to get behind our sponsors and do your job as a racer in social media to be helping spread the word of the people who have helped us out. And if it's not you, if it's one of your sponsors and you see them, give it a share. I mean, social media is a powerful thing. There's so much more we can do to help out our deal. And, a lot of people call it sponsorship. About 5 years ago, we really tried to change our vernacular and call it a marketing partnership, because it's not just about you sponsoring us and giving us money to go do what we love to do. We need to be able to be a partner and help give that back. So, marketing partners where we are. So it's time to be a partner more than just a goodwill receiver from your sponsor. So more than ever, it's time to really work on helping uplift all the people we've got. And you see the names across the bottom of our screen. You see them come on our Friday night broadcast. Those are the people we got to take care of. If you have a chance to or need one of their services, you should be at least giving them the first shot.
Yep, and I don't have a specific link.
I guess that,
but I remember if you're interested in hearing about sponsorship from one of the kings of motorsports, Roger Penske has explained it before, why he feels it's such a great investment and what he sees when he goes into one of his plants the day after they win a big race. It is a huge team, and we've got a bit of time on our hands. Folks do these days. So Google that, Roger Penske. Why Roger Penske supports motorsports, and you might be interesting at what the captain has to say.
All right, so I guess that brings us to the topic of the day, which would be the Kyle Larson slip up, mistake, slur, depending on how you want to describe it, I guess. Adam, do you want to tell the story, since you're an iRacing guy? And you're probably the most politically correct out of all of us, being the two of us.
Well, why don't we just play Spencer? Do we have the audio?
So set it up. So Landon Castle had a race.
Yep, Kyle Larson was
Sunday.
participating in an iRace. He was having trouble communicating with his spotter, with his teammates. And there is a function in iRacing, and there's a lot of alternative software that allows you just to talk to certain selected people. So you don't talk to the masses, you can just talk to the people you care about, talk about how many tires you're going to take. They're spotting for you, they're letting you know what's going on. As I recall it, I've only listened to it once. I believe he was saying, "Can you hear me? Can you hear me?" Said the N-word. And very shortly after that, it might have been Landon Castle, I'm not sure who it was, to say, "Kyle, yeah, we all heard that." And that was the beginning of the end, and things happened swiftly after that for Kyle Larson.
Well, let's talk about how quickly it got picked up by social media and spread around, Adam. I mean, I was watching a movie with Christine, and an hour later, not even half an hour later, I think the race was still on. I caught the end of the race live. I didn't realize, but the world was abuzz with him saying that word, and by the next morning, things had really gone wild to the point that all his sponsors had pulled out, and they really started to distance themselves. So McDonald's, Chevrolet, the list went on and on. And then today we hope to find out that Ganassi drops Kyle Larson as well. So
the first feedback I heard was from NASCAR. The first statement I saw was the indefinite suspension from NASCAR. I'm not saying that happened first, but that was the first one I saw. And then there were sponsor challenges on the go, which may or may not have happened before that. And then, of course, today we wake up to seeing that Chip Ganassi Racing has terminated the contract of Kyle Larson.
Well, obviously they needed to do it, right? All these major corporations, they absolutely had to distance themselves away from Kyle Larson. And he can tell people who are just never going to forgive and forget. And, there's a lot of sides we can discuss to it. Some people will say this could be a benefit to Larson. Obviously not with the damage to the reputation, but where he ends up futuristic. Ganassi was very limited on where he could race and how much outside stuff he could do outside of NASCAR, which was understandable. There's talks maybe Tony Stewart would pick him up. Tony was one of the first guys behind. Love to have him on my team. So if he ends up with someone like Stewart who lets him race more, could it be an open door for Kyle? Yes, but he's still got an uphill battle at him. How soon can he get over this?
Not very soon. He has to do the things that need to be done, which is sensitivity training. Number one, now remember, my background's public relations. In my opinion, he did the right thing. He issued an apology immediately. It was sincere, in my opinion. So he didn't frame it. You know how people sometimes frame, "Well, I'm sorry if you were offended." No, he's just sorry. Like he realizes that was a horrible thing. Next step is to take further action. Do I think the door would ever reopen at Chip Ganassi Racing? Nope. No, I think because of some of the partners that they have there, it kind of seals his fate, because I don't think McDonald's could overlook that. McDonald's was I just think the damage is too deep for that particular partner, who is one of the major partners of Chip Ganassi, to overlook that.
There's the other topic. There's so many sides to this, but the other thing that always comes up, same thing when Michael Facinto, I believe was, said it at the Chili Bowl. The argument that it's used in rap, and a lot of people say it, and all these other things. There's so many sides to that too, but it's still just wrong.
I'll come back to that. I don't remember the name of the Facinto cat who said it. He used it in a sentence. He used it in an interview. He used it in a moment where he knew he was speaking publicly. I don't get so... I mean, I've got strange opinions on everything, Clinton. I think you can attest to that. To me, individual words, they're words. Not saying them and not acknowledging them doesn't mean that they don't exist. Also, I am awkward about words that can be used by some people but not used by others. And if you'd like an example, I'd be happy to share one with you.
Yeah.
You ever seen my wife angry?
I have, yeah.
Have you? Did she bitch at you? We
No,
can say
she was
that word.
bitching at you.
That's right. We can say that word. You can use that word in any context you want, and it would be socially acceptable. If I say that word to my wife and I'm referring to her, I haven't. She will close fist punch you in the mouth. She will drop you on the ground. You can say that word, but you can't call my wife that. Like, and there's a lot of people who are like, that's the line that they draw. So it's a word you could use nonstop, but as soon as it's directed to a person, it's game on. It's going to get violent. It's going to get violent in a hurry. So there are words that you can't compare what people say in an interview when they know they're public with what someone says when they think they're saying it to one or two people. And I'm not saying it's right and it's okay, but I'm saying there's a big difference. You can't just lump everyone that utters that word. Listen to the music our kids are listening to. I hate it. And I get it. It's art. I don't understand it. It's not right for them, just like it's not right for us. You know why I don't say it over the PA system, Clinton? Why I don't say it into a microphone?
Why is that?
Because I don't say the word at all.
Well, that's the other.
And I have a foul mouth, right? Like when I turn the microphone off, I will use colorful language. But they're words that you just, because you don't need to, and it gets tossed around. And if you've ever listened to teenagers in a conversation, listen to a teenager conversation for 10 minutes. You are going to hear that word tossed around.
I don't disagree, but it doesn't make it right. And people would say, well, you said it once, you've said it before, which we've heard that argument quite a bit. We brought Kyle Larson to Ohsweken Speedway a few years back. I dealt with him personally. One of the nicest, most polite, quiet guys you're going to meet. Doesn't say a lot. Really lets his driving. I would describe him to my friend Billy, who I used to play in music with, where Billy was an astounding guitar player. Quiet, kept to himself, and just worked on his craft every day and took everything in around him, but didn't say a lot. I got the same impression from Kyle Larson. So, someone, my wife, said, why couldn't it have been the other Kyle that we all don't like already? It would be so much easier to be upset about it. And that's part of the sentiment too. But in the end, good, bad, or ugly, it's still the wrong thing to say. And I think when you're in that position, you got to mind your P's and Q's more than ever. And even if it didn't go to the right channel, he was saying that to somebody. What's the problem?
The flip side of that coin is, you want to be a NASCAR racer, you better understand what you're giving up, what you're sacrificing. No matter where you are, no matter if you're on a deserted island and you think there's only one other person there listening, somehow people are always listening, people are always watching, and shit is going to follow you. You just have to be so cautious. And that's the other side. Like people saying, well, it's not fair. Hey, he knows who he is. He knows what he gets paid for and how much he gets paid to do it. And guess what? It's not driving in circles really fast. That's a part of it, but that's not all of it. So I'm saying the blame has to be his and his only. But the position he is in is different than the position other people are in.
Sure.
Depending where you're at. Now, the World of Outlaws is fascinating.
So The Outlaws have stepped up too. Spencer, and if you've got any of the images we sent or anything hanging back, if you've got the apology, just feel free to run it right now while we're talking about it. I know we sent you a few of those items. I'm not sure what you stockpiled or what you prepped for the show. Again, viewers, if you have any questions or comments you'd like to jump into,
Brian Wilson has a question for you.
Yeah. Spencer, do you have any audio or anything for us? Brian's question: does this put a black mark on the race Rush weekend in the future? There was a time after the Kevin Ward Jr. thing where I don't think we would ever see Tony Stewart back it up. And, whatever that situation, I don't want to say cooled off or, but we had him back last year. No, I don't think it does put a black mark on Kyle to the point that we'd bring him back in the future. Does it mean we're calling him today to get on this year's hottest new topic? No, probably not. But I think we bring guys up because of their racing ability. Kyle is still one of the most amazing drivers in the car, not for his personal attitude, not for his, the way he speaks. We didn't bring in Casey Kane or Rico or Christopher. Now, with that being said, I would bring Rico and Christopher back for those reasons. They were both magnificent. But, we've had a lot of guys in we brought up not for their personality, not for what we want them to say, but for what we want them to do on the racetrack, and they've delivered. I think we've seen anybody get around Rush Weekend better than he ever did to this day. He's just amazing. Maybe Christopher Bell, but they're both dynamic. I think you see it down the road someday. I think you're going to see the embrace Kyle as one of the guys who comes back. So I sent out the video game joke today, and there's going to be tons of memes and jokes going around. Instead of Dirt Daytona, it was Daytona to Dirt featuring Kyle Larson. His new video game. Do you happen to have that still, Spencer?
I like the picture that I shared better.
Yeah,
because we
can't hear Spencer.
And whether
he's not talking to us.
Yeah, he's chatting, he's messaging in Facebook, communicating that way. I think the obvious answer to these questions is it depends what happens in the coming days. His initial reaction, I think, was appropriate, and I think decisions get made. Let's not fool ourselves, guys. This is not right and wrong. This is dollars and cents. Okay? Okay, here's a good one. Marcus Stroman, who used to pitch for the Toronto Blue Jays, saying he should never be allowed to race again in NASCAR. Said that derogatory word so nonchalant. Your apology doesn't matter. Post-career. I'll fight this man in a UFC event for charity. He needs his ass beat. Would love to hear him say that word in the octagon. So, Marcus Stroman is partly upset because Kyle said that word nonchalantly. What's the right way to say that word?
I don't think
I get that's not his meaning.
Rapper, maybe.
But I'm not laughing at that. Let's go back to this is dollars and cents. NASCAR had to suspend him indefinitely. That had to happen immediately. These sponsors had to sever ties because there is money on the line. Not because they think he's a bad person, not because they think he might go to hell. Because there is money on the line, that is what drives the sport. And we saw that trickle down. iRacing suspended Kyle Larson indefinitely. Why? Because there's money on the line. Do we have the letter, Spencer, from the World of Outlaws? Clinton, there's money on the line. So why did the World of Outlaws release this letter? World of Outlaws welcomes fans and competitors from all backgrounds and does not condone the language used by Kyle Larson while virtually competing with a different series on April 12th. As a World of Outlaws member, driver, and team owner, he violated Rule 2.2a, which states members agree to act in a professional manner at all times. Well written. The legal department would have seen that and said, yep, this is all good. As with all infractions, we communicate directly with our members and establish the appropriate course of action. Given the nature of this infraction and Kyle's already public apology, he will be required to complete a sensitivity training course within 30 days of the date of the infraction. Kyle is an important and visible stakeholder in the World of Outlaws community as both a driver and team owner. Kyle's admitted to making a mistake and is our expectation that he will make every effort to represent the sport in a professional manner moving forward. Provided that Kyle completes the designated training in the allotted time, he will remain eligible to compete in all World of Outlaws sanctioned events. Independently, full-time sprint car team Kyle Larson Racing, which was not involved in the infraction, will face no penalty and will be allowed to continue to compete in all World of Outlaws events. Money is on the line. They can get Kyle Larson within 30 days able to race with the World of Outlaws. There's not going to be a World of Outlaws race within 30 days. And my point is not that Kyle Larson was right or Kyle Larson was wrong. Kyle Larson was definitely wrong. I mean, there's no doubt he should not have said that. But my point is, all of these statements have one thing in common. Depending on which direction the money is flowing, that's which direction right and wrong seems to come from.
Some people would say that the Outlaws didn't have to make this statement just yet, Adam. He's not rolling into an outlaw show. It wasn't an outlaw event. Is it any of their business? So that's the other thing that comes up. Well, one, you don't want to start like Kyle Larson show up and you'd have to turn him away at the gate. Two, as you mentioned, he does have a team there in the series, so they're going to have to deal with him. And that would be the obvious choice if you're suspecting such a thing. That's where Kyle Larson is going to show up. So they had to take their action. Along the lines of what you said previous to that letter we read too, it's all about money. That's why Chip Ganassi had to fire him. Not that he thinks he's a bad guy, not that he thinks he can't drive a race car. He cost him millions and millions and millions of dollars. And if you do that for any one of your businesses, your boss isn't going to be pleased and you'd probably be looking for a new job. So, not only the public relations side, but the money that's out of pocket for the team now. So,
and I want to make it very crystal clear. I don't condone what he said, but I believe in second chances. I believe people who have failed drug tests get second chances, and I believe they deserve them. I believe people who have been charged with criminal activity, and they can rebound and come back and be productive members of their professional communities. This is similar to that vein. I believe everyone deserves a second chance.
As people who talk a lot into microphones, as you and I do, there's many times when I've said something I didn't like. And on our live broadcast, quick one, which is nowhere near the depth of the situation here, but, I don't know if I told you, but one night we were going to one of our biggest events, and I said, it's going to be a killer night. And I thought, please don't let anybody get seriously hurt here tonight, because I will never live that down. And it's just a stupid word that comes out of your mouth, but it bothered me for the rest of that night. And I'm, obviously this is a lot more serious for Kyle Larson.
Well, and there was also, do you remember that sports? Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
There was a sports broadcaster, it's either last year or the year before, who said during a broadcast, "Is he out of his cotton picking mind?" And he got reprimanded. I believe he got fired because it was deemed to be a derogatory term towards an African-American player, when in reality, I believe the broadcaster was pretty damn old to begin with. There's a lot of sayings, Clinton, and I made a joke last year about where did the saying cockeyed come from, but there's a lot of old sayings that we don't always stop to think about that have very derogatory beginnings.
Yeah, good point. Certainly a lot of the common sayings that our grandparents would have taught us probably didn't have the sensitivity that we try to teach our kids these days. One thing I was going to bring up is now, so obviously Kyle Larson, what happens from here? Sensitivity training, right? Gets that, like you said, NASCAR could probably have him ready to race by the time we're ready to race again, with whatever classes or whatever he's going to have to go. Will there be sponsors there to pick him up should he land somewhere like Tony Stewart? I tend to think there will be. There's going to be some independent businesses, a few guys who have got the backing who would get with someone like Tony and Kyle. I think there are corporations out there or individuals who would put their money behind someone like Kyle Larson. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I believe the world does believe in second chances, and I believe there's probably even good marketing opportunities for a company in the right situation to say, this could really this could really send a message for our product. It's all about spinning it. And Kyle Larson has to make amends. He has to go through the process that he has to go through. And as I say, I thought his apology was effective. It seemed sincere to me. That's good. That's checking the very first box. You have to mean it. You have to own it. And now they can look forward and move forward and try to make things right. Don Cherry is a great example, Peter. Don Cherry had the opportunity to walk back what he said. Don Cherry was given the opportunity to keep his job.
He stood behind it and said no, right? I stand behind what I said. What I said wasn't that big of a deal. You guys are blowing this out of proportion. And it was. Check some of the comments come in. This is off for our YouTube page. Stephen Petty. With us announcers, we just have to assume that our mics are always live. There are things that should be said and need to be said. I think, you mentioned colorful commentary. I probably got one of the worst swearing mouths of anybody we know. Every second word on my word is something off color usually. But you just learn to have that license when the microphone's on. You've got to do what you do. And there have been some people who said there's sport standing behind them. I saw one of the diecast companies said they're gonna, they're still sticking with them. They believe in second chances. I think there'll be enough companies that'll come around. From Facebook, JR Taylor says one thing that most people do not know: Kyle Larson was brought up in NASCAR's drive for diversity. And that was another. I don't know whether it be a joke or a commentary or practically could have been a meme, but how ironic is it that get thrown out for off-color events in like 2 weeks because of iRacing? It's just crazy to think that the iRacing would have this kind of effect on real-world careers back to back.
I think people need to remember that even though they're not at the racetrack, they're still a public figure. And Brad Evans makes a great point. Tiger Woods lost most of his endorsements and sponsors at one point in his career. He then went on to win another title after making his comeback, and Kyle Larson will do the same. So again, there's got to be that period where Kyle decides what it is he wants to do moving forward and work towards it. I mean, I've got some thoughts in my mind over where he could wind up and what would make sense and what would not make sense. It just depends how things get shaped moving forward.
Well, don't keep us waiting, Nostradamus. Give it to us.
Okay, you heard it here first. JTG Doherty or Richard Petty Motorsports is a teammate to Bubba Wallace.
I think he's going to have to Stewart.
The path to come back can be a curious thing. And if I'm sitting in a boardroom, if I'm making PR decisions on how you could do something that's convincing and authentic, those are the first two things that cross my mind.
Well, hold on. With my dual airbag hat on, reading between your lines, you're saying put him with the king, one of the most vanilla drivers ever, along with Bubba Wallace, who's obviously, in the diversity program, if you want to say it.
This is part of the problem.
Play.
Bubba Wallace is African American. And there was a time you could say Bubba Wallace is a black man. I guess we don't say that now. But when your tone isn't that of disrespect, I don't understand why. And people are petrified to say certain things.
I am too. I can't even spell quarantine, so I say lockdown.
And Doug Leonard comes in to say one of Kyle Larson's parents is Asian. I don't know the nationality of his or the racial background of his parents, but yeah, in the island somewhere. I want.
Or you're going to get
exactly.
letters from NASCAR and suspended by the World of Outlaws yourself. All right, let's move on. Have we beat this one to death? Anybody got anything they want to talk about?
I want Spencer to show the picture that I shared of what iRacing is. And we love iRacing. We're very supportive of it. It just happens to be lately the survivor of NASCAR these days.
Moving on. Do you want to move on?
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Good deeds all around. We've been talking lately last week, and this is a pretty wild story. Greg Bellier from Brighton Speedway area. We talked about his storage business last week and how they had realized that a lot of their folks who are renting self-storage units from them may be having trouble paying their self-storage rent. So it was a great gesture. They offered free rent to anybody who couldn't pay, and anybody who did still pay their rent, they would match it and give a donation to the food bank in their area. So we report on that story last Thursday. Then it was this weekend we get a report. The storage place caught fire and burned down. Show us the picture and the headline there. Spencer, if you can, I'll make up to. Like they say, no good deed goes unpunished. And oh my goodness, it was heartbreaking for Greg and Sherry. They said on the weekend they're actually looking for volunteers to get out and help them clean up the rubble and help people salvage anything they can. Yeah, here it is, his tweet. This is from today on Facebook. Looking for a couple of people to help them tomorrow. They're assisting tenants to dig through the rubble and try and save anything possible. Sometimes they're successful and they are delighted. Other times, devastation is too much. It's emotionally draining, dirty, stinky work, but it's the right thing to do. Please PM me if you're available to help. So if you're down in the Brighton Trenton area, give Greg Bellier a call. Give them a hand if you can. Do a good deed. If you're looking to chalk something up in the good column, that'd be a good deal. Man, I can't imagine, Adam. A lot of people put their stuff in storage or displaced, or they have other issues, and they're trying to cling on to their last bit of memories and belongings. And it's got to be heartbreaking, as it said there in the Facebook posting. So if you're down there, wow, sad news for sure.
Yeah, it really is. It's a tough enough time to begin with, but to have to go through that, hopefully they are getting a lot of support from the community and they're able to do what they can to bounce back from that. But yeah, Greg Bellier, one of the great people in the sport.
Just want to remind everybody once again, this Friday we will be live with our iRacing Friday night excitement from the Big O. Make sure you join in and check all the sponsors. A bit of their dues in this downtime. We'll also have Greg and Adam, myself, calling the races. Doug Leonard will be on hand as well. And we're bringing two classes of iRacing. Big O Stars, brought to you by Cool Kids Ice and Water. Those are the drivers who actually raced Speedway in the past. And the Big O Associates, brought to you by Strickland's GMC out of Brantford, with our drivers who are crew members, associates, and they're super excited about that. Make sure you join us back again this Friday. Any questions or comments you want us to talk about? Get us rolling. And Adam, people are asking how they can get involved with the iRacing. There's your picture, Adam, you asked for.
iRacing is Survivor for NASCAR drivers. Changed my mind. It's little things like that. That sort of stuff entertains me.
Who gets voted off the island next?
Everyone's been voting themselves out. They don't just vote, they rage quit.
They've been jumping into the shark-infested waters, trying to swim back to shore and not making it. So we join you here every Tuesday. Don't forget, next Tuesday we'll be back with our Roy Choice Auto Tuesday Tune-Up Series kicking off, and that'll be practice and setup for the Friday night events. We're going to bring you live every Friday from Weekend. Super exciting to be back on the air live, and then we cap that broadcast off with replays from the past. So make sure you're checking us out this Friday. We'll go live at 7:30 with our Friday night excitement broadcast. So that's a cool deal we've got going on, in a way we can connect with you. And if you have any ideas or thoughts on how we can improve those broadcasts, let us know.
And keep in mind, you can still sign up. So Derek Woodsky, you can join this Friday's race. You are on the roster. Keep an eye on our Ashweekend Speedway Facebook page. It shows the roster of people. There's practices every night at 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock and hosted sessions on iRacing. And folks, if you want to come out, please sign up. Go to ashweekendspeedway.ca. Right on the right-hand side towards the top of the screen, there's an iRacing sign-in page. Let us know whether you're a racer who has raced at Ashweekend Speedway before, or if you're just someone interested in racing with us on Fridays. We have a division for each of you. And Clinton, I am so excited about an announcement that we are going to make next Tuesday. It is going to be a big, big deal. just one more step in the fun times that we've been having. But boy, we got some cool partnerships to announce. So as much as these times are frustrating and we want to be getting out to the racetrack, it's nice to be making some of the new friends that we've been making lately.
Yeah, we're hearing great things from a lot of people, new people getting involved in iRacing and starting to become race fans because a super cool deal for sure. Just want to make a couple quick mentions. Blake Nutley Butler says he's been also in the admin servers. He's painting some of the drivers' cars. So if you want to get a car done, if you're one of the regulars, reach out to Blake. He'll help you get going. And as we mentioned, the racing was fast and furious. Spencer, two things. I don't know if you've got them available, but can you play or at least post the iRacing address where drivers can get involved? So whether you're a driver from the past who's actually competed at Ashweekend and are on their iRacing platform, or if you're somebody else who wants to get involved, you can go to ashweekend.ca/iRacing, and that will there's a form there you can fill out and get logged in to figure out how you can partake in the weekend's events. There's many practices going on all week long to get ready for Friday so we can put on a good show for everybody. A good chance to communicate. And there it is, Friday Night Excitement. You can sign up by going to ashweekendspeedway.ca/iRacing. And Spencer, I'm going to ask you for one other thing too. I'd like to go through the quick tutorial of the subscribing to the GeForceTV.net page. If you've got that, the one that we've ran through a couple times with Greg, and it'll explain the tutorial on how you can make sure you are subscribed and notified for all of our broadcasts coming up, whether it be this show, the live Weekend Speedway program, Speedway Micro Sprints, tons of iRacing programming, tons of 3-9 Productions programming coming down the pipe from iRacing and other products. So we're super cool about that. I don't know if you got that, Spencer. Feel free to run that anytime, and we'll jump into that. That almost wraps up my list of things we wanted to talk about, Adam. Anything else you want to go over?
We've got a lot of people, Clint, asking if Tuesday's tune-ups are going to include street stocks. I think we can find some way to include street stocks in that. I'm sure we could. The drivers seem to really enjoy it, and some of the fans really enjoyed it as well. So Clinton and I have been toying back and forth with why can't we race different things on different tracks than what people are used to for fun. So it's all what you want to see. We are capable of creating anything. We've got a huge audience of iRacers who are willing to come out and participate in a lot of different things. So if you have an idea, or if you have things that you really enjoyed or things that you didn't really enjoy, let us know. It's the only way we know if we're getting it right or if we're missing the boat.
Yeah, like if you looked at that at Landon Castle race that actually got Larson in trouble, it was amazing. It was on the big oval at Monza. They just figured they'd go at it. They had like 50-something drivers.
So if you go to your browser and type in GeForceTV.net, click
Here we go with the browser. This will be the tutorial on how you can get everything you need to know from GeForceTV.net. And ready, Spencer.
So if you go to your browser and type in GeForceTV.net, click that. That'll take you right to our YouTube page. But the important thing to do is over to the right-hand side, you'll see a subscribe button. Make sure you click on that. And then beside that is the little ringer, the little bell. If you click on that, you'll automatically get notifications every time there's new content uploaded to GeForce TV.
So that's it. Just go there. Click subscribe, click notify, ring the bell, and you get a notification every time we go live. Thanks for joining us in our weekly discussion. We just felt it was fun to come on and just talk about the situation and what's going on, how we figure we pull ourselves out of this quagmire of hot laps we're stuck in right now. I should say that, but it'd be nice to see hot laps going. We see a lot of guys ripping their cars up and down the country roads. Be safe if you're there, because that's not cool either. Take us home.
You know, Clint, I want to end on, because of the tone of the night, I've got a coworker named Farshad, and I can't remember what religion he says he is, but when he said that the credo is good thoughts, good words, good deeds, I said, that's from Bohemian Rhapsody, the movie of Freddie Mercury. He says, yes, Freddie Mercury and his family are from this same religion, this same background. I want to learn more about it because it's fascinating to me. And even though we talk about these controversies, and even though a lot of it is black and white, and a lot of things had to happen in the aftermath of what Kyle Larson said, just like a lot of things have to happen in the aftermath of poor decisions people make. I think we all can have a big effect on the world that we live in. And I'm not saying be religious. I'm not saying change to any religion, but good thoughts, good words, good deeds. If you keep things positive, it makes a difference. It totally makes a difference. And it's infectious. And if we all did that a little bit more, we wouldn't have to spend so much time talking about these negative things and talking about these, what's the word I want? Crises, which is really not a crisis. It's, man, I can't find the word. That's not like me. But good thoughts, good words, good deeds. I want to learn a little bit more about that, and I think we could all benefit if we shared a little bit more of that together. And we thank you so much for joining us on Tuesday nights. Big announcement coming next week. Please tune in.
Don't forget, Wednesday, tomorrow, we got Blacktop Rivalz. Thursday, a Mindwell session. Friday, we're live with Friday Night Excitement. We got your back. We got lots to talk to. Adam, thank you for being a good friend to me these days and pulling it out. Now, that's my message. Reach out to your buddies who are struggling. Pull them out. Put on. Get them going. Whatever you got to do. Don't take their bullshit. Don't let them stick in the wallow. Drag them out by their ears if you got to, like you've been doing to me, Adam. And I appreciate it, buddy. So thank you. Thanks to everybody for sticking with us. We'll be back. This is your Rivalz Race Chat. Thank you, Spencer, for producing as always. Once again, live Blacktop tomorrow. Mindwell session is 7 Thursday, 7:30. We're back with in the virtual world. Thanks, everybody. Brown and Ross, I'm Clinton Jeffrey saying have a good night. We'll see you next week.